if you have my app on your phone and you go to the US Open this year at Oakmont, when you walk through the gates, it's going to ping you and say, hey guys, it looks like you're at the US Open. You want to check in and earn? So now you have this gamified, engaging, I earn a badge for doing it. It's essentially wrapping your entire obsession around the game of golf into one ecosystem that hits you on the course while you're playing, on the course while you're practicing, off the course while you're being a fan, and it pulls it all into one everyday app.
Welcome to the Edge Podcast. I'm DeFi Dad here with Nomadic. So today's show is with the co-founder of GolfN, Jared Phillips. We just got off the interview with him. It's like the ultimate golf experience app. It's an app that is rewarding you for playing golf, for being a fan of golf, for tracking your performance in golf, for socializing with your friends through the world of golf. I know we talked quite a bit about how we're using it as golfers, and you were making light of the fact that you're less of a golfer. So I'm curious, like, what was your impression from, Jared's conversation?
Yeah, you'll have to listen to the full pod to hear my golfing background. Like, full disclosure, we've known Jared for a while, probably over a year, and we are invested in what Jared's building. But I would say the transformation we've seen from where Jared was with the idea to where it is now is just, it's kind of mind-boggling. And you'll see from this conversation, I think we mentioned it offline, but Jared speaks with a passion of what he's building like no other founder I think I've ever talked to on the pod. And that's because he chose to do this because he just loves golf, and he happens to love crypto as well. So he's just building something at the intersection of his passions. And another funny thing, Jared showed up with a way better podcast setup than either of us, and he has a voice that is made for radio. And I was just like, man, he's just showing us up at every level here.
Yeah, if you're familiar with, there is an app called Whoop. I like to use it for tracking like all of my like fitness related activity. I mean, it's like a health app. I use it to track everything from like weight to the way I sleep, to my resting heart rate. I track, when I run, when I walk, when I play baseball with the kids, when I go golfing. The whole point of it for me personally is, again, to like see improvement and insights over time around how I'm improving. And if you dig those types of like accountability type apps, this is an app that is for golfers. All this to say, he has built an app that I believe can stand on its own without crypto, but because he comes from a background of, understanding DeFi and being a longtime investor in crypto, they saw this opportunity to use crypto or tokens, tokenized value, to actually power the application. And so there's a lot of cool things they're doing with like NFTs that represent types of golf clubs. They're kind of like power-ups in the game. It should be really interesting, but like, don't think you've gotten lost in the first half of this, because we talk a lot about golf, but I think it really helps to bring you up to speed on the need for an app like this and what we hope is going to be one of the biggest applications that just so happens to use crypto. And then before we do get started, as always, we are so grateful to the sponsors we have on this show. We're very proud to work with those select partners. Please show them some love by going to our show notes. Reminder to please subscribe on our YouTube. The YouTube is under DeFi Dad, but if you go to the-edge.xyz, that's a great place to subscribe with your email, and you'll get real-time notifications for new episodes. You can also subscribe through like Apple or Spotify as well. With that said, we hope you enjoy the podcast on GolfN. The crypto UX is broken, and AI, you can't trust it. Let Magic Newton set you free. It puts financial freedom on autopilot. It does all the work for you 24/7, so you can go do what you want. This is the vision behind Magic Labs, the creators of embedded wallets. Used and backed by the best, see for yourself with a simpler crypto UX powered by verifiable AI agents. Get started at newton.xyz. Maple Finance is one of my favorite products in DeFi. It is a gateway to sustainable real yield powered by over $1 billion in AUM across USDC and BTC products. And now with Syrup USDC by Maple, anyone can earn institutional-grade yield. For deposits of $1,000 or more, now through May 31st, Syrup USDC holders have a shot at a $300,000 grand prize expected to be drawn in November. The more you deposit, the higher your chances to win. Learn more at syrup.fi, and thanks to Maple for supporting us here at the Edge Podcast and Edge Newsletter. This episode is brought to you by SKALE, the next evolution in Layer 1 blockchains with a gas-free, invisible UX, instant finality, and robust security. SKALE allows for limitless scalability and has already saved its 50 million users over $11 billion in gas fees. Visit scale.space today and follow their journey on X at SKALE Network. Overwhelmed trying to manage your crypto and DeFi investments? Meet iYIELD, a free financial planning tool for crypto natives and yield farmers. iYIELD's dashboard compares returns from your DeFi positions side by side, providing clarity to help you make better decisions. iYIELD supports a growing list of over 16,000 tokens and 40 of the top DeFi and staking protocols across 17 blockchains, including Ethereum L2s. The best part is that iYIELD is 100% free, anonymous, and there are no ads. Check out iYIELD.com today to take control of your financial future. Hey folks, I wanted to tell you a bit about our sponsor, PYTH Oracles, your go-to source for smarter data to power smarter contracts. PYTH delivers real-time market data for crypto, equities, FX, and commodities to over 80 blockchains. With 120 plus major market participants like Jane Street, Binance, and CBOE, PYTH ensures secure, low-latency feeds trusted by 430 DeFi apps. You can learn more about PYTH by going to pyth.network, and thanks to the PYTH community for supporting us here at the Edge Podcast and Edge Newsletter. All right, let's introduce Jared Phillips, co-founder and CEO of GolfN. Jared, welcome to the Edge Podcast. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me, guys.
So just this week, my own kids started junior PGA. So the timing of this conversation couldn't be any more perfect. You know, we're going to get to talk all about GolfN, and I think how you're transforming the experience, the game of playing golf through a golf app. But Jared, why don't we start out with why golf? Let's get into what drew you into the space, wanting to build anything adjacent to golf. And then I'd love to get more into the actual app and the idea of everything you're building, how crypto plays into all of this and so forth.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that. And that's awesome that your kids are in junior PGA. I think that's a great program, something that we didn't have. I mean, I didn't have that growing up. I just had to go loop and try to get in around or whatever. But
I joke around. They're better than me. When I go up to the tee box, I go, close your eyes. Don't watch anything that I'm doing.
You don't want to do this. Yeah.
Never follow daddy. Just do whatever your coaches tell you.
Other areas that I can lead you. This isn't it. So my background in golf starts from when I was very, very little. And I have this thesis that I've said before in other places, but I've always thought that three guys that are the same guy are golf guy, poker guy, and crypto guy. I just happen to be all three, where you kind of have this obsession, this niche community, really like it. People kind of talk the talk. And I remember golf is etched into my brain because when I grew up pretty poor, didn't have a ton of money for golf. No clubs, no anything. I always wanted to play. There was one day a year that I got to play golf from when I was 7 to 12 because that's all we could really afford. It was Father's Day every single year. I would go out with my father, my brother, and my grandfather once a year for 5 years. And it was the greatest day of the year. And it was always Father's Day. And I looked forward to it because we'd actually spend money and I could go do it. And I was finally at the age of 12 was I have to do more of this. It's so hard. It's so good. I love this time with my family. What do? Well, in Michigan where I'm from, you can start working temporary hours, 13, 14. So I started, hauling clubs and cleaning carts at our local muni just to get more time in golf. And it's just been a chase ever since where it's I just want to do it more. I want to try to get better. And so that's been in the back of my brain as a core memory with my family and my dad and my grandfather and always trying to improve in the game. And then getting into crypto when I did, and seeing, how crypto has been, in my view, a revolutionary thing that will change the world. Trying to find a way to marry those together seemed like something worth taking a shot on. I've been in crypto since 2018, really. And I watched people build for a long time. I invested in projects for a long time, and then finally found the thing where my passions all came together, and that was golf.
As I was growing up, similar sort of story. Like we didn't golf, and I think a part of it was golf was viewed as like a sport that like the rich kids played. The kids that were golfing, they had parents that were members of a country club. It just wasn't as popular of a sport. And I think what's been remarkable about the world of golf is how it has really pushed for golf to be accessible to kids. Like my local public golf course that we golf at, they let our kids golf for free. Our kids are like really young kids. And so I can go out there, I pay the cart fees, I pay for myself to golf, 9, 18 holes. And it's just like a pure joy. And they're feeding the fire for us to like golf there more. And like, no doubt, we're probably most centered around baseball in my family.
Sure.
Golf has become probably my favorite bonding activity with my kids. Like I absolutely enjoy every minute of it. It's going to be time one day that they're going to remember, like my dad always took me golfing regularly. And it's a sport that you can play for a lifetime. So, again, credit to the world of golf for like thinking about how can we onboard that many more folks? Because otherwise there's a stuffy element to golf. There is a world, it's here in my community as well. I actually truthfully continue to golf at the public course because I think like, honestly, it's the best experience. It's the most welcoming place for my children versus I don't want to go play at a stuffy club and like have to like apologize for my kids like making a mess on the course.
I think there's multiple clubs too. There's different styles. Like the upper echelon's always going to be that way. I do belong to a club from not far from where I know you grew up. It was the old like steel mills club. Okay. So this is like steel mill workers belong there, and it's a lot more blue collar and it's a lot more relaxed, but it's still, it's a different community, and, really, really great because you still kind of see every facet of life in there versus like the 1%ers. But yes, for the most part, you're dealing with like, these class issues are very prevalent here, right?
I'm probably the least golfer of this trio here, but I'll tell you my quick abbreviated golf history. And I grew up on a farm, and my earliest memory of golfing is just we had an old beat up driver, and I would just launch crab apples off a tee and like horse chestnuts. Like there was no golf happening in my life growing up. Like my dad was a farmer. If I was like, hey, we should go golfing, he'd be like, we don't have time for that. But I have picked it up later in life. And Jared, one thing, we were talking offline about this, and you shot me over a stat that I think you should share here, because I had kind of maybe naively assumed that golf's popularity was waning, as maybe not into it as you two, but the stat you shared with me with millennials, can you rattle that off for us? Like where golf is kind of going, its current trajectory?
Yeah, I will say that obviously the pandemic was horrible, and it was not fun, and no one wants to repeat it, and no one will ever choose to repeat it. But without question, the largest beneficiary of COVID was golf. Like, not even close. Because so much that you ordinarily would do inside, you could no longer do anymore. And what could you do pretty early at post-pandemic? You could go out golf, because we found out being outside was okay. It was already trending pretty well at that point, but I think that there's two stats that I know that I think you're referring to. I'll give you the one that probably is not directly what you asked first, but from 2013 to 2023, overall participation in golf increased by 50%.
That's crazy.
In America. I'm just talking about America. I'm not even talking about the world. I'm talking about just in America. It went up 50%. And participation in golf is an interesting thing, and the advent and like that number is, again, weighted to post-COVID a little bit, because younger people started doing it. You started seeing more like chip-in putts and simulators and Top Golf and things like that, where it was, let's be honest, it was hard to learn how to play golf when we were growing up, because it was like, we're not a member, didn't really play, munis are intimidating, like where do you go? there's all sorts of places now where people get into the game of golf differently than they ever have. It's a friend has a simulator at their house, or you go to a Top Golf, or like, hey, let's go putt-putt. And so that started snowballing. COVID kind of kicked that up a notch even further. And so when I say that number, in 2013, there wasn't a lot of those, but they're not double counting these people, right? So you went from not a whole lot of indoor stuff. Now there's a ton of indoor, outdoor, non-on-course related activities. It's doubled from 2013 to 2023, and it still increases like 12, 15% a year in overall those people. But the stat I know that you were kind of leading me toward, which is crazy, is right now, for the first time ever, the largest segment in golf is not over 40 years old. It's not over 50 years old. It's like 22 to 34. So like the largest percentage of groups of people playing golf right now are the young ones. It's not an old man's game anymore.
I'm just going to chime in with one thing kind of on that line of thinking. So I've stated I wasn't a golfer, but I became crazy addicted to golf stats at one point in my life, probably for about 4 to 5 years. And I was an early DraftKings DFS player, and golf really hooked me in at one point, to the point where I was like looking up which golfers putted better on which green types and things like that. So I think that kind of speaks to this, like what golf has done to pull in like even like alternative media sources into the game of golf and other ways to kind of hook in people to like, okay, now I'm paying attention to golf. And to be honest, I had 4 to 5 figures every week riding on golf. And I was like, I'm just like watching golf, paying attention to golf. I'm not really playing golf, but then I started playing some more golf because of that too. So yeah, also interesting.
I think that also, like, just to go along with that, like, people don't understand how difficult golf is if you've never played it. So there's like, like I played baseball, was an art at a ball, or I played hockey and I could snap off a wrister and that was whatever. Like, it is very, very different than anything that you think. And even Top Golf or whatever, like, people get embarrassed the first time thinking like, I just hit the ball, right? Like, no, it's pretty hard. And so to scratch that itch even further, when you finally start playing, you're like, oh, I thought I'd be way better at this to start. I'm athletic. Like, why am I not better? And then you kind of get at yourself to be like, no, I'm going to keep doing this. I'm going to figure this out.
Yeah, it's one of those sports, it's a lifelong sport. Like, I miss baseball, but like after college ended, I'm like, I can't play this competitively. But golf, the craziest thing about golf is I am the best golfer I've ever been in my life at this point, and there's almost no other sport where you can look to continue to get better. I mean, hopefully as long as you don't get injured. There's another aspect to, I think, like why I see what you're building as such a huge opportunity. Can you talk a little bit about like the media world around golf? Because when I was growing up, I remember like my dad and I would watch the Masters. We would watch some of the major tours. Or some of the major like tournaments. We, reveled in watching like a Tiger Woods, of course. But I mean, nowadays golf is everywhere. It's like I watch some of Grant Horvat, if I'm saying his name correctly. We're obsessed with Full Swing, the Netflix documentary series on golfers. So like my very young children, who are in elementary school, who are in junior PGA, those kids know the names of like the top 10 PGA golfers. And like when we go to a tournament once a year, they're like rooting them on like they do if we go to like a professional baseball game. I mean, that is just transformational to me, like how mainstream, again, golf has become in the world of sports for children, alongside the likes of Little League and basketball and everything else.
And you want to know what's interesting about that? What you're talking about right now is actually why the PGA and LIV split. So the reason why the PGA and LIV even had that, why there was even a hole for LIV to run through, was the PGA owns your media rights 100% when you're on their tour. Everything you do on or on the course, they own it. And a lot of those guys that left early were the ones who were personalities that were trying to do other things. And it was restrictive to them because you had to go get the PGA Tour's approval to use your own stuff to even be able to run a YouTube series. Like Bryson, which obviously everyone knows he has the most popular golf YouTube channel in the world, could not have done that had he not left.
I just want to call out for folks that are listening to this and you're like less acquainted with it. His name is Bryson DeChambeau. Maybe we can put a link to his YouTube in the show notes. Jared, can you give some context around this? Like, he's a top 5 golfer, and like, why is it so significant about, like, what's so significant about his media presence, his YouTube channel? What makes Bryson so unique in the world of golf?
Yeah, he's actually like very, very engaging. And I remember I was a big Jim Rome guy back in the day, if you guys ever listen to sports talk radio. And like, there was this meme around Tiger Woods back in the day where it was like, hey, Tiger, you know, X, Y, and Z happened. What do you think? And his response was the same every time. And Jim Rome would have this clip. He would just a really robotic Tiger Woods that was like, the golf course looks good. My swing feels good. I like my chances, right? Like, he only ever said the same thing over and over again. And so Bryson is the absolute polar opposite of that. He's accessible. He is telling you about his life. He wants to tell you about his game. He's running contests with fans. I mean, he has one of the most successful YouTube channels in any category, let alone golf. And he's also a top 5 golfer in the world, winning championships and so on. So for someone who wanted to be open with the public, it was hard for him to do that at the PGA. And so, yeah, he went to LIV because he could still be a pro golfer, still participate in majors, and have this like social presence. But to your point about your kids and accessibility, like now since the LIV division happened, well, now the tour guys can do that. And they wouldn't have done it unless LIV had split. And so you're seeing more of the ad hoc content and doing stuff with Grant Horvat or, you know, Good or Bob Does Sports or whatever it is, where these guys can actually show their personality, and they want to, because Tiger Woods is like, he had one goal, and that was to win. He wanted to step on your throat to win, and he didn't care to talk about anybody. We all respected him for it, right? Like, when Rory won at the Masters, he was paired with Bryson in the final pairing. And there was a big thing about how Bryson was like, what was it like playing with Rory? And he's like, I don't know. He didn't say a word to me the entire time we were there. And that's interesting because, like, that's a Tiger move, right? And we wouldn't think twice about that if Tiger did it. But Rory is like, that's kind of messed up, man. Just like talk with Bryson. You're out there. So there's like this whole shift of paradigm for like what elite do. And the thing is about Bryson, he spends as much time on his YouTube channel as he does on the golf course, and he's elite at both. Extremely impressive. It's extremely engaging. And like, he's young, he's winning majors. He's going to be the central force in golf for a long time.
Bryson DeChambeau in the Masters is walking up the fairway. And at one point, he is looking like, you know, like he's going to potentially win and take the lead away from Rory. And he is walking up the fairway, and he is very intentionally engaging with fans all along the way. I mean, he's pumped. You know, he looks like a college athlete, you know, in the NCAA Sweet 16 or something. He's got that kind of energy. He's high-fiving people. This is the complete opposite of the behavior that we normally see from golfers. And it's not a criticism. I personally, like, I respect the grind that they go through. Like 18 holes, walking 4 days in a row is just brutal on your body. And they are hyper-focused. Like, Rory represents, I think, like the old guard. He still actually, he deserves more credit than that because he is such an incredible ambassador to golf. But Bryson, Bryson is Bryson. Like, that guy is, like, if you've got a little kid there watching, which there's lots of little kids at these tournaments, there's nothing more fulfilling or just, you know, joyful than to see the kids being able to interact with, like, you know, he's, like, again, a top 5 golfer in the world. So I think this is probably a good place, though, for us to shift into talking about the landscape of golf apps. By now, anyone listening is like, did I tune into the wrong podcast? What is this, the Golf Pod now? Can you talk about what do apps look like in golf? If you're a golfer, like, what's been the standard in terms of using an app while you golf? Like, what's the purpose of it? What sorts of games exist? And this will kind of lead, I think, into the opportunity you saw for building GolfN.
Yeah, and believe it or not, I'm going to find a segue from what we were just talking about and the question you just asked, because what Tiger and the old guard and not being accessible is to Bryson is what old apps and old technology and old things are to GolfN, okay? Like, we are taking the previously accepted paradigm and we're changing it quite a bit. There was a stat that came out from the National Golf Foundation, which we're a member of as a golf company, which you have to be to become a member. And they put out these stats on golf all the time. And they put one out in March of this year. And I'll send you the graphic if you guys want to put it up or whatever it is for people to look at, because I think it's interesting, or at least a link to it. And it was about like loyalty rewards and feeling recognized by brands in golf. Okay. And I'm going to give you a few stats before I tell you what this actual number is. But average golfer in a year spends between $2,500 and $10,000 a year. That's the average. Okay. And it's like 5 times more than any other hobby, except for maybe tennis. Tennis is close. Tennis is like 2 times more. And that's the demo you're talking about. Well, the stat was 77% of golfers feel unrecognized by brands in golf, meaning that we don't feel like we get any recognition versus someone who's never picked up a club in their life, because the golf companies just take and take and take from us, and they know we'll come back, and they don't give a shit. And that to me is a problem. And by the way, I am that consumer. I don't know if cussing's allowed on this podcast, so I'm going with it. You guys can edit it out if you want. I fix it in post, but
you're all good. I won't let my children listen to this podcast normally, but for this episode, I will shield their innocent ears.
Just drop a beep in there, it makes it funnier. But seriously, the golf companies don't care. And there's another substat on that. That's only 3 to 5% of golfers around the world, of which there's 120 million on-course golfers. There's even more than that, actually feel like they're rewarded in any meaningful way around the game of golf. That is a disgustingly low number for a group of people whose average salary is $120,000 a year, who on average spend between $2,500 and $10,000 a year pursuing this. And the brands have said, we don't really care, you're going to come back. And I am that consumer, okay? Like, I am that guy. We talked about why we're in golf and how you keep getting better. Well, I am very much like, I'm obsessed with golf for a lot of reasons, which I talked about earlier, but it's also the only place I get to compete anymore, right? Like, I get to put my best up against somebody else's best, and that's, you take advantage of that when you're younger. Like, I can do it here, there, high school, college, intramurals, like even whatever. Like, it's harder to do as you get older. And so you love it for a lot of different reasons. And I was this guy who just felt taken advantage of. And so you look at the app landscape, to actually get back to your question. 6-8 years ago, when Arcos and 18 Birdies and Grit came out, they were revolutionary for the type of insights you could get into your game. They charge you a lot of money for those insights, but quite frankly, I've literally, I kid you not, I have the receipts. I've paid for every app there is, because I want, and this is before I even thought about golfing. It was like, maybe this one will make me better. Maybe this one will get me over the hump. Maybe this one will do this. And they all have these things they've done really well, but they've all gotten very complacent, much like every other brand in golf, where it's like, people like it. They're going to come back. They're going to pay their fee. And all they do is give you insights into your own game. They own your shot data. They essentially are saying, we think that our mousetrap's better, and once you're here, you're never going to leave because we owned your history, and what are you going to do? And that bothers me quite a bit. 1, already being taken advantage of, and 2, like 8 years ago when you guys just came out, that was really, really interesting, but that's table stakes now. Like, everyone has has strokes gained. Everyone can see their average. Everyone can connect with their friends. Like, what makes you different? And they're saying, no, just continue going with us, just like you should continue buying Titleist, because everyone always has. Not a good enough reason for me.
Yeah, and what I'm picking up with all this, like even this like change in landscape with this more allowance of media and trying these new things in golf that they weren't maybe traditionally doing, there's always like an embedded old guard when there's these kind of turning points and shifts, right? So kind of what I'm picking up from you is like Arcos, 18 Birdies, I think you mentioned. There's probably, they've kind of enjoyed being up on the peak and maybe not having to compete too much or change or iterate. And what I see with what you're doing is you're coming in as a user that's used all these products, and you're like, hey, I know how we can make it better. But what I would love for you to maybe speak to is just even specifically more to talk about this, like the loyalty programs that are in golf and what's lacking. What do you see as the wedge into this app space with what you're building with GolfN and what you're seeing from the competitors or incumbents that you're talking about?
MANTLE is charting a course towards a future of enabling crypto access for everyone, with major endeavors to build MANTLE Banking and MANTLE Index 4. MANTLE Banking means a new crypto neobank that helps users spend, save, and invest across their fiat and crypto finances. all in one account. MANTLE Index 4 is a tokenized fund in partnership with one of the leading tokenization platforms in the market. You can think of MI4 as the S&P 500 of crypto. To learn more, check out group.mantle.xyz. And thanks to the Mantle community for supporting us here at the Edge Podcast and Edge Newsletter.
Yeah, well, to answer the question about the loyalty programs that currently exist in golf, that's a pretty easy answer. There are none. Like, full stop. That's the answer to the question, which is disgusting. Like, there are people that are trying to do it. Troon is doing it. Troon is a golf course management company. They own a bunch of courses. They've managed about 1,800. They're trying to do Troon rewards. But here's the thing. Troon golf courses are expensive. If you're only playing high-dollar expensive golf courses, yeah, maybe you're going to start to get some rewards, okay? Kemper's doing it as well. Kemper are local to me here in Chicago. I actually like those guys a lot. We're trying to find ways to work together where they're doing the same thing. Kemper's frequent fairway programs, but they even know that it's like a flawed system where it's like, okay, if you're only playing Kemper courses, you get these rewards. If you're only playing Troon, like, where is the centralization here? It doesn't really exist. And so the answer is they don't exist. Where are we coming in? Well, like, let me give you an A and a B scenario here, and you tell me. A is the old guard. They charge you money for a service of which that which you get is just insights into your own game. Okay, I get to see my stats, I get to track my scores, I get to submit for my handicap. They cost somewhere between like low end $40 a year, high end like $180 a year, and they're all somewhere in there, and they're all MRR or ARR, monthly recurring revenue, annually recurring revenue for those companies. That's A. Or B, we're going to give you all of those stats, all the things that you expect to see in those other apps for free, cost you no dollars. There's nothing feature gated, which is what they do. They go, hey, we can give you a little bit for free, but if you want stats, you got to pay us. Nothing's feature gated. And the more you use and engage inside the app, you actually earn, you get paid to be able to apply towards golf-related items or other things, in our case, which can be convertible into a token. Why would you ever choose to pay someone?
Yeah, you're making it the choice pretty obvious there. I mean, providing you can create a product that's kind of feature parity, if you're not going to pay, if you don't have to pay for it, I mean, it's kind of a no-brainer. But Jared, I want you. So something you mentioned in Telegram the other day, you said, okay, I have it here. You said GolfN equals Strava, which is the running app, plus Chase Rewards, plus Pokemon Go. And the little that I do understand about GolfN, I feel like that nails it kind of perfectly. But can you elaborate sort of on what you mean by all that?
Yeah. So this is a good, comparison to continue what we've been talking about with the golf apps, right? How do you engage with those golf apps now? And again, I'm making this sound like these guys are the worst. They're not. Okay, like I said, I like them. I still pay for Arcos, which is funny. I should probably stop, but like I like it. I think they do the best for insights. But the time that you use Arcos is when you get to the course, when you're getting ready for a big tournament, you turn it on, you use it, you put it away, right? Like that's it. You only use it in this very specific part of your life. They don't do the socialization well. The Grint does that well. So the Grint has this piece where like if you and I are friends on there and you tee off, it's like, hey, DeFi Dad just teed off. Like you can follow his round, okay? And that's a pretty great feature that they have. And you can kind of engage and interact. Okay, we have that too. But what we're doing is essentially applying that Strava aspect into this as well, where people who are golfers are obsessed with golf. And I mean that in like the best and kindest way. I can say that because I'm one of them, right? Like when I see my friends going to hit at the range, I'm like, oh, I want to be there. Okay. Like when I know you're going to a PGA Tour Superstore, I'm like, can you look at this product for me? I want to know what it looks like. Tell me if it's as good as I think. You have all these different things that are in your brain that are kind of hard to get access to. And so we built this community feature, this leaderboard type feature of how you engage, interact with the game of golf. Like that's the Strava aspect of it. But even more so, everything stops around the golf course with the previous iteration of apps. Well, we're doing something that hasn't been built anywhere in the game of golf. It's not even close. And that is off-course gamification. Off-course gamification is truly what makes us that Pokemon Go Strava type where if you have my app on your phone and you go to the US Open this year at Oakmont, when you walk through the gates, it's going to ping you and say, hey guys, it looks like you're at the US Open, you want to check in and earn? You check in. Now you get a list of milestones. Hey, you can earn by going and achieving these things. Snap a picture, post. What happens with that? It's going on a timeline, this social timeline that you can see, your friends can see, but also some will be posted to the main timeline for other people to see too. So now you have this gamified, engaging, I earn a badge for doing it. It's essentially wrapping your entire obsession around the game of golf into one ecosystem that hits you on the course while you're playing, on the course while you're practicing, off the course while you're being a fan, and it pulls it all into one everyday app.
Yeah, the part of this that was compelling to me when we first met, Jared, was that it's not an app that only rewards your gameplay. Because like that part of it, I don't want to skip over this too. I want to go like into like, there is an unbelievable unlock to competitors, people who they love the game of golf. But so most notably here, I want to talk then more about like how are you enabling more competition at the amateur level? This is a way to be able to bet on yourself and your own game and potentially like get rewarded for just being like a hell of a golfer, but you're not at the level again to like go play at the pro level or play in, you know, more competitive local tournaments.
Yeah. So it's a good question. And I think there's two different answers to that, and I'll try to get to both. But the first one is, have you guys ever used like an accountability fitness app?
I'm nuts though. So I'm like, again, perfect prototype for this. I track all of my food to know like the calories and I track all of my exercise through Whoop. So I'm like obsessed with
Whoop's
seeing
amazing.
Progress there. So like if you love Whoop, again, this is like, you're going to be addicted to this. If you like my life fitness tracker, what is the thing? My Fitness Pal is what I use.
Yeah, My Fitness Pal, Under Armour, yeah. Actually, My Fitness Pal is a funny business case. I don't want to go down that path, but they were literally like $18 million valuation, took off, sold for $500 million in like no time because of this unlock. Okay. So it's this accountability piece where if I'm checking in because I'm going to practice, my friends see that, okay, and I'm going to do it. And you go, well, Jared, just because they're doing that doesn't mean they're going to do it inside of the app. And this is kind of the key point, which hopefully snaps everything into view for you. What makes us different is we have a hack that no one else in this game, in this industry has, okay? Every single app has a way that you can put your clubs into the app where you can spend the time and fill out the manufacturer and the club and take a picture of it. But no one does it because there's no reason to. But if you do it inside of my app, you're going to get rewarded, okay? So how does that change behavior? So when you go to practice, are you always going to check in if it was a part of an app that didn't have a reward system? No, it's a pain in your ass not to do it. But if I check in and I'm getting points for doing it, now it becomes part of that habit loop, that habit cycle, and it makes you better, okay? So you're like, hey, I'm going to do that. Oh, now I see that DeFi dad practicing. Now I want to go practice because I know we're meeting up in a couple of weeks. Like, oh, we're connected on this app. And he's getting rewarded to do it too. He's earning when I'm not. Oh, I don't like that either, right? Like you want this sort of like the cyclical competitive nature from your friends. And the thing is, there was no reason to do that. What are you going to do? Show up to a range and text your boys like, hey, man, I'm here putting in the work. Going to whip your ass on Sunday. Sorry, I did it again. I'm going to whip your butt on Sunday, right? Like, and you're just not going to do that. It's not how people work. But if it's just a function of me checking in, we're completely shifting that paradigm entirely. And so you're going to get that accountability piece. But then like, let's just go one step further. The other side of that equation and how you get better is the more you're engaging, the more you're earning. And let's be honest, like golf's an expensive sport. It's an expensive sport. Every year there's a new driver that apparently gets you 10% better and it adds 25 yards or it stops your spray or stops your miss. And you know what? I've had those conversations with my spouse and going, you know, new driver is like $650, but you know, and what if you were earning towards that? Are you going to make this a part of your life now? Are you going to try to make this a thing that you're checking into because it's already prohibitively expensive and this makes it a little bit better? Like, yeah, so you have the accountability piece on one side where I'm going to get out there, I'm going to check in, you're going to see how I'm checking in, and we're all going to play together, and you'll see my scores being posted, you'll see me earning, but also like, you see me earning, I can now get the new equipment, now I can do these things, and it all comes full circle to where you just want to keep doing it more.
Yeah, and you're tapping into this area that, you know, the Arcos or the 18 birdies of the world just can't go. And because you're tapping into incentives, and I won't pretend that crypto has mastered incentives or they've done it perfectly. They have not. But I'm seeing crypto get better at how to use incentives. And the power that you can unlock with crypto under the hood is vast. It is huge. And the thing you said maybe 10 minutes ago, where you were talking about the person that walks through, I think you said Oakmont PGA, and they get a little alert on their phone.
US Open, yep.
Yeah, they get a little alert on their phone, and they're immediately incentivized to engage right there at that point and share a picture. And the other thing you're unlocking here is this whole UGC element. And you know who's going to really like that? The PGA Tour. Because all of a sudden, the GolfN app has recruited thousands and hopefully hundreds of thousands and hopefully millions of people to start engaging with the sport of golf because they're incentivized to do so because it stands on crypto rails. And you start to like get an idea of how big the distribution of this type of thing can be good, like, or can go. So yeah, like I have always loved Web3 gaming and been waiting for it to happen because I think there's a perfect formula that hopefully comes together one day. But this is probably one of the best packaged things I've seen that isn't really Web3 gaming, but it sort of is a golf app. You know, it's like it's hitting on that perfect sphere of like, or that Venn diagram of all those things coming together. So yeah, I think actually just right now it started to kind of come into, like you use that term, snap into view.
Yeah, no, well said. Literally, interview over. That was it. No, like, that's exactly right. Okay, like I don't know if people truly understand how revolutionary this will be. I'm not even saying could be. I'm saying will be, because we have 500 people testing our app right now, and the behavior and the analytics we're getting from how they're engaging inside of the app is insane. Insane. Every advanced metric is filled in. Every score is posted. Every round is submitted with a review. We've already showed that little piece you were just talking about, Nomadic, is already in their brains. And they're going, no, I'm going to do this every time because it's in my best interest to do so, because there's no reason not to. That's not just something you can pick up. Like, what's the reason? Do you get an achievement badge for being like a pro poster on an app that doesn't care and you're just helping them out? Like, how about we share in this together? How about we work in this thing together? Because here's the dirtier secret about those apps we were talking about earlier. Not only do they charge you annually to use their app, do you think they're not monetizing your activity in data? You're paying them for the right for them to monetize what you're doing. Like, what? That, as a Web3 person, bothers me tremendously. And just as a consumer, bothers me anyway, right? And so what if, are we going to do the same things? Sure, we're going to do it in a respectful way. There's obviously opt-in and opt-outs and all the things you'd expect to see. But you and I are both sharing in that now. Not just me, or not just the company, or not just the people who own the token, right? Like, there are other things in here at play.
Hey folks, I want to tell you about our sponsor, Gearbox, the protocol that reimagines on-chain lending. With Gearbox, you can access 10x credit across DeFi or lend for passive yields with single asset deposits and no impermanent loss. Users can access leverage to margin trade, stake, farm, and more. To learn more about Gearbox, go to gearbox.fi.
Egg. A quite astonishing commodity. The cause of your desire. Egg. Which fills the inner void. Egg.
Eggs are pretty epic, but you know what's more epic? Paying for them with crypto. Borrow, earn, and now pay with Moonwell.
Say hello to Puffer Unify. Puffer Finance is expanding beyond native liquid restaking with new products such as Unify-based rollup and Unify Pre-Confirmations AVS. Unify is not just another L2. Unify is a based rollup, one that will solve L2 issues, such as slow withdrawals versus instant withdrawals with Puffer Unify. Puffer Unify is fast, capable of sub-second transactions. Unify also has boosted Puffer points, which means if you bridge assets, you earn boosted Puffer points and rewards from dApps on Unify. Puffer's core products mean a bright future for Ethereum. Learn more at puffer.fi. At the end of the day, you're creating a points program for every imaginable facet of someone's golf obsession. and then that points program, you're using Web3 rails, which like, it's funny, every time I say Web3 rails or crypto, even in relation to it, I cringe because I don't want to, but like I have to, of course, because this is a part of the compelling vision behind what you've built. But like, I only describe GolfN as like the like ultimate golf app that happens to allow you to, and forgive me, I might be like misframing this, but you know, eventually we'll be able to potentially, I think, cash that out into like an actual token. But for right now, I think about it specifically as like a rewards program, like my Southwest or JetBlue or Chase Rewards, you know, where I'm going to actually be able to get access to really, you know, amazing like golf gear. But this is probably a good place where we should start to talk about the actual like user journey. Can you just at a high level guide us through like, how would you get started with the app, and like, what are they like most excited to be filling out, or what sort of data do you think is the most interesting to look at as a user?
Yeah. So the thing that I was alluding to a moment ago, and I'll get back to the journey and onboarding and how we've kind of pulled this off, because I think it's a pretty key part to the story. But to directly address what I alluded to a moment ago is, in all of these apps, your ability to like entering your score, putting in like, did I hit the fairway? Did I miss the fairway? How many penalty strokes did I have? How many putts did I have? Did I hit the green? Like, that can feel onerous as something where you're like, all right, I'll do it. And then you get like the outcomes at the end, but you have a bad round, or you're just going to a bar with your friends or whatever it is, like you end up not doing it. Okay. So what we're doing is like, there's incentive. You don't have to do that inside of the app, but if you do, you earn more. Okay. So what I was alluding to is like over 99% of people who have been using this are filling out every piece of advanced stats when they use our app, which is insane, because it's like, well, even if you don't realize that this is going to be better for your golf game, it will be better for your golf game, because your insights and activity will be more real versus you being like, that was a bad round, I'm not going to fill it in. Like, no, fill it in, because that's who you are as a golfer, right? Like, and that will help that. And the other things around like referring friends, does this activity, or checking in on here, or getting into this drop with this partnership we did with Bonk or Confide Pandas or whatever, like people are willing to do it because that whole incentive loop continues to work. But I think the bigger piece of this, and kind of where GolfN even started, was, can we do this without the first experience being write down this 16-word seed phrase? Because honestly, when I was talking with my co-founders, and I personally put up the money to start this to begin with, it was like, look, if that's what we feel we need to do, I'm out. I'm 100% out. I'm not interested in doing it. We can build the greatest product in the world. No one's going to care. So how do you abstract this away? How do you make it a seamless experience? And that's why I really feel that we're more like a Web 2.5 company, right? Like, where if you have a wallet, if you own our NFTs, which, by the way, the secondary trading market on is insane. We don't really make anything off that, but you should go look. It's nuts. People have a different experience inside of the app than someone who doesn't know anything about crypto. Right? Like, it's a parallel pathway where I'm going to meet you where you are versus force you to come to my point of view. And there's a way where we can educate you and move you into that if you want, but that's your choice. I'm not going to force you to do it. And it was getting that architecture down first, which made me go, okay, we can have something here, because the people that I golf with that are in their 50s and 60s aren't writing down a 16-word seed phrase when they download an app, right? They're just not going to do it. So it is abstracted away. It lives in a points-based system until you decide to convert into the other way, and then we hold your hand through it in a responsible and secure way. And I don't think this works if we didn't do it that way.
Jared, something else I want to talk about is just these rewards themselves. So obviously there's a crypto element, there's a GolfN token, but there's this element of all of these vendors in the traditional golf world getting on board with this. So kind of curious, what's been the level of excitement or resistance when you're talking to these people? And like, what are these types of rewards that we can imagine? I guess you can probably get pretty imaginative with what you can do with this, but yeah, fill us in on just like, what do these other rewards look like?
Yeah, so it's a good question. And I think that there's two phases to this. The first phase for everyone who doesn't care about crypto will be the only phase they ever care about, right? It's just like, hey, I earn these points, and I go into the pro shop in the GolfN app in the marketplace, and I can search and I can find drivers and irons and wedges and putters and gloves and balls. And I can just take these points that I've earned and redeem them, and they show up at my house. Why would you go to Dick's? Why would you go to Golfsmith or any other place when you can pay with points? Like, I just did this the other day with my wife. She's had like an iPhone 12 and she was complaining about it. Chase Rewards happens to be around like a 50%, additional points right now. I was like, yeah, I'll just get you some iPhone. And got her no iPhone, had it shipped. Like, why would I go to the store and purchase a new one if I didn't have to? So that process, though, Nomadic, was interesting because pitching this idea to these golf companies is pretty radical. Okay? Like, hey, we're going to do this, and people are going to earn points. They're going to create value inside of this ecosystem, and they're going to love doing it. They're going to enjoy the experience. And what's that going to end up being for you? Well, it's going to be tantamount to a ton of sales. And here's how this whole ecosystem works and comes together. And initially, there was a lot of no's, right? Like the Titleists and Pings of the world were, show us when you've done more. Honestly, we own the whole market. We don't need you, was pretty much their answer. And I don't doubt them for that. They're coming around already, but that was a year ago, what we heard. But there were other brands and club manufacturers who are a little bit more innovative, that kind of see where the ball's going a little bit more because they're not resting on their laurels, who went, wait a minute, what can we do with this? And had to talk through how we're going to be engaging. When we give away our sweepstakes, when we give away our prizes, we can feature your brand. We can show things that will get people's attention in a way that you've never been able to do before. And then if you don't win the prize, if you don't win the giveaway, well, there's people that expressed interest. And if those people opt into receiving communications from you, we can help you turn them into paying customers if you want. That's your choice. You're rewarded if you opt in, though. Right? So there's these things that started to kind of snap into view for people where it was like, oh, okay, I see. You're doing this differently. The best example that I have is like Pokemon Go really did crazy things for revenue generation in a non-traditional way. The thing that I always see if you Google or search about them was like in 2016 in an ad campaign they did with Starbucks, they made like $50 million. There's no Starbucks ads inside of Pokemon Go. What did they do? They drove you to go try to find the rare Pokemon at Starbucks. And while you were there, you bought a coffee or you bought a roll. And that generated that much money for them. And it's not like the users were like annoyed about the fact that they were going there to try to get the rare Pokemon. They were like, no, I'll go there because I want to do this. And like, yeah, I will have an espresso. Thank you very much. And that ended up being worth it. It's a more intelligent way to do things. And so when you laid this out, Nomadic, for people to say, let's reimagine this 50-year-old ecosystem and infrastructure you guys have built and kind of get with the times, if they gave us the time of day to listen, almost everybody said yes.
I'm curious, how would a course today benefit from GolfN? Like, if they want to be more intentional, and let's assume this is like someone that manages and owns like hundreds or thousands of courses, but even maybe the small guy, like, because there was a story that we talked about quite a long time ago from like a user standpoint. Some of us, when we play, are quick. I'll go out and I've always got a cart. It's funny because I know the people that show up behind me always like, they'll roll their eyes because I've literally got a cart filled with a bunch of little kids and they're like, oh shit, this guy's going to like hold us up. And I'm like, I will finish 30 minutes before all of you because my kids tee off. I pick up the ball. We go, close enough to be able to chip and then putt, and we're done. And we're flying. We'll golf at least 9 holes in maybe an hour and 15 minutes. Like, we fly. If the course knows that, if the app knows that from the gameplay that I'm logging, I mean, that's a huge advantage to them to know that like this is someone who plays faster, so they can maximize like the amount of tee times that they have with folks like me. So I'm thinking today, I know that there's a lot being built out for the future, but whether you're a major owner of like golf courses or whether you're like a small guy, is there any like call to action for those folks to get in touch, or is there like a back end to the app that is made for those course owners and managers?
Yeah, so there will be. And to answer like the short form question, right now, anybody who wants to partner us can reach out, gets into our comms team, filter through, make sure they're not scams. They get to me, have a conversation. Like the first people who said yes to us were StrixSign Cleveland. And I swear to God, I'd get a tattoo because they kind of put us on the map to say, like, we believe in this. They're a huge brand and like, we want to see where they're going. And I've been playing Mizunos and Miuras for years. And I'm a StrixSign player now because they showed me that outreach, right? So, the thing that I would say is there's a lot of ways we can do this. We're looking for those partners that want to say yes. But here's the thing. Whether they're interested or not, it doesn't impact my business model, right? Like I can send people places, improve the model, whether or not someone else is involved. Because to the point of what you just said, there are gamified metrics inside of our app that are around, do you play faster than the course average? Do you play with friends? Do you play during off-peak hours? And you can kind of slot yourself into this profile where you earn more because of where and how you play or when and how you play. And so that's just natural. Like I don't play golf on the weekends, period. I don't have time, right? I have 2 small kids. I golf for business during the week or like a Friday afternoon round, and that's about it. And so like different people engage in different ways. And like that'll be very clear based on when you check into the app. And if you do that during off-peak hours and you play faster, you actually earn more points. So we actually will send you more points for doing those things. It's not a hard sell. That's why I said we were talking with Kemper. I was like, look, those Tuesday at 10 a.m. times you can't fill. We can help you with that. Like reach out and we'll find a way to just direct to say in your area when you look at earnings opportunities, oh, hey, double points at Harborside and Southside Chicago, right? Like, or whatever it may be. There's a lot of ways that this can work. But thankfully, the way that we built it, like I don't need it. I don't need them for this to work. I just think it'd be silly of them to not reach out.
Yes, especially if they start to see some of the traction and data, and you can kind of come back to them and point to them and be like, well, look, here's how people have been interacting with your course. Do you want to be more intentional about this relationship? Because here's what we can do for you. Jared, one thing I want to talk to you, like, obviously this is a crypto podcast, so I want to just get a little layer deeper on that element. Something we talked about a while back that I thought was really cool. I don't know if this is still the current, in the current implementation, but all of these little clubs are NFTs. And when somebody opens the app, say they're not a crypto person, they select clubs to play for that round. On the back end, these are NFTs connected to people that own them. And I think there's like a randomized element in here where like, this random user that doesn't even touch crypto just picks somebody's owned NFT, and if somebody uses your NFT, there's like a connection there. Can you am I butchering that, or can you kind of elaborate on this?
No, you got it mostly right. So yeah, that's the benefit outside of our NFTs, I guess, is I won't say it because I don't want to cuss again on your podcast, but like an NFT that actually does blank, like actually does something, because people who have been collecting our sets of clubs, and I think they're pretty nice. I designed a few of them, even though that's not me. That's what happens when you're in a startup mode. You figure it out. And so all the commons and uncommons I did. Don't at me. Okay, I know they're not amazing, but I did what I could. And actually, they are pretty good. So when you've been collecting our NFTs, completing sets inside of our collectors portal, which, by the way, I've told Kalos this from Parallel. We ripped it straight off Parallel. Everyone's like, I love Parallel. It's great. Your caching portal's awesome. I'm going to do it. We actually called and talked to them about it, right? Like, that's what we did to say, look, collect these sets and you get these bonuses and advantages. You can start earning ahead of time. But the other piece of it is the longer you've been caching our sets, the greater your level increases. For every level that increases, your odds of your NFTs being rented increases by that factor, okay? So if you've been caching for 10 months, you have a 10-time greater chance than someone who just owns the NFTs to do it. And you have this ecosystem that kind of plays inside of itself. But yes, when you play and you rent clubs, it just is a random selection based off all the odds of our entire collection. And whoever's clubs get rented, it just shows up. Like they just get points immediately. You don't have to do anything. And it automatically facilitates that rental process where your NFTs actually do something.
So is it best to think about these collectible digital golf cards, call them a collectible golf card? Is it best to think about them as like a booster for like the points that you're earning in the app?
Yeah, the way that I explain it when I am talking to non-crypto people is like they're in-game power-ups. So like in-game power-ups that you could acquire, and I've had some Web2 people that like had me walking through so they could buy it. But that's what the membership and the monetization is inside of the app, to go, look, you can earn at a base rate not doing anything. You can earn digital golf balls that allow you to earn more. You can buy digital golf balls. But then when you start to understand how the system works, that's where these memberships come in. By the way, we have $25,000 in memberships pre-bought already, which is insane. Really, really good indicator from people that have nothing to do with crypto. And what ends up happening is you go, okay, I'm going to buy this green membership. That allows you to rent a card, and white gets you more, and silver is better, and then, gold, and then diamond. And so it essentially allows you to unlock greater earnings, and it allows people in our community to get hooked up more. But yeah, they do. It's like the main thing that impacts earnings are the types of cards that you have. Yeah.
Okay, Jared, talking about all this, you mentioned there's like 500 people using a beta right now, but when can more people get this in their hands? Like where are you in development right now for, more mainstream adoption here?
Yeah. Thanks for asking. It's very good timing. I didn't know this was going to happen when we picked this day. We actually just submitted to the App Store today. So earlier today, submitted to the App Store. Things have gotten slightly easier on the App Store now with that big legislation change of that, that they can't stop you from doing things that are crypto adjacent anymore. Thank God. That makes life a lot easier. So we just submitted today. By the time this is being seen, it's, God willing, going to be on the App Store. So GolfN app, the GolfN app, you'll see it. And obviously, we'll give you guys a link you can put below or in the show notes for people to go check it out. But the V1 version of the app should be out now, and I hope you guys can go grab it and take a look. And with that, a whole new role of sweepstakes and things that come along with it. So I think you had seen before, I know you had tweeted or talked about it, DeFi Dad, about, our trip to Ireland. Obviously, that went great. It was 600,000 entries is what we got into that. And so we're kicking off with a new trip to Hamilton Farms in Bayonne in New York City when the app launches. So if you don't know golf, that might not mean anything, but imagine golfing across the water from Manhattan and doing something crazy at 2 world-class golf courses, which is going to be coming out soon. So the thing that when Nomadic had asked me earlier about what you can do with your points, well, one of them is certainly redeem for clubs and balls and those things, but I kind of skipped over the sweepstakes. We're running sweepstakes constantly where you can win signed memorabilia or crazy trips. We gave away a $4,000 bottle of Pappy Van Winkle. So those are all running. And just a little peek behind the legal curtain that I have to deal with every day. The way that sweepstakes work is if you're just a member of GolfN, you get 1 free entry. That's it. You get 1 right away. The more you earn, you can add in more. But download the app, try to win. If you just like to go cool places and do cool things, you got 1 shot.
Jared, before we wrap up, anything else that you are just super excited about in the roadmap? Anything else the app is just going live. So the most important thing will be for folks to download it. You have to remind us, is it both an iOS and Android? And then what's next? What's maybe the next major milestone that you would call attention to in the roadmap?
Yeah. Good question. And I know my Android fans are going to be a little bit disappointed. It's not far behind. It's maybe 2-3 weeks behind. And then it'll be following out. We developed in React Native, so you can customize to each platform fairly easily. But it does take some time, and you have to develop on one first and then kind of convert to the other. Unfortunately, iOS was first.
Jared, we're used to this. Don't worry.
I figured. So yeah, it's coming very, very soon. Hopefully within, like I said, 2-3 weeks, we'll be on Google Play Store. You don't have anywhere near as many issues submitting there as you do on the App Store. So, that will be a submit and it's up. I'll be sure to let you guys know and we'll get that link out. But as far as the roadmap goes, this is something that I know is very important to a lot of people. And there's actually something pretty cool about the app that actually will be in the version that that was just pushed. And you'll actually see earlier, DeFi Dad, there is an interactive roadmap for exactly what's coming next, what features, the timing for it, all the way from, we mentioned off-course gamification, which is going to events, but think of this as Yelp for golf, where if you want to be a partner of ours and you run a golf shop, then submit, we'll put you up there. You can kind of come claim your store. You can create incentives for people in your area. You can do all these things where everybody around you can come interact with you. And that to me is very empowering to small businesses, to people in your area to go, look, like I want to go to this new simulator bar. I want to go try out this game improvement center or whatever it is. Like that sort of unlocks and pulls everyone together. And we're building that out right now. That's a huge task. You're literally geofencing every golf related store in the world. We're not just the United States. We're everywhere. But that's what the dev team is working on really hard. And I think when people open up their phone and see a map with a bunch of different pins and icons that say, oh my gosh, look at all these things I can do, from putt-putt with my kids to instructional lessons to simulator, all these ways for me to go check in and engage with the game of golf. Like that to me is us absolutely shifting the paradigm of what people do when they golf. And that's a hell of a thing. That's what has me excited.
Jared, everybody's waiting for GTA 6, but you're building the GTA 6 for golf, I think.
Kind of. Can you believe we got this before GTA 6?
Minus the violence, hopefully.
Yeah, exactly. So look, there's a lot of that. There's achievements that are coming. And again, this is more golf nerd stuff. And by the way, I previously had come to the conclusion I couldn't do these as NFTs, but now I'm going to because the App Store is relaxed. You get achievements like, hey, I play the top 10 courses in Illinois. Well, you get an achievement badge, which we had designed by a famous golf artist. I literally had all 50 states, every major golf country in the world, all their provinces, all designed by this person, where these can actually be awarded to you with a date, and assuming the App Store doesn't reverse its function, minted to you as an NFT for your personal achievements.
My favorite part of this is that, again, I think you lead with like all of the fun of using this app, and then it benefits from, you know, the crypto rails. And I mean, this has been prophesied for years. We over-indexed for years on infrastructure in the space. There's been a severe course correction, I think, in the past year. There's been like a call to arms, and it's very normal in this space. Like, you looked kind of nuts when you were first wanting to like build this, when you were first pitching the idea and starting to develop it. And I remember thinking like maybe this is it. Finally, we're going to see like a pivot to like better applications. And so anyways, this is probably a good time then to remind our audience that they should learn more about GolfN by going to golfn.com. That's GOLFN.com. And then you can follow the GolfN team at GolfN app on X. And then Jared, any other final word here before we go? Just thank you so much for spending a little extra time with us today, and just super excited for folks to get access to the app. Like, I'm excited to download the real app. I've had, you know, this beta app for quite some time, and again, it's been fantastic, but I know there's a lot of features there that even I haven't had access to, so excited to unlock that.
Yeah, it's a good question too, and I think like maybe the one or two things I'll leave you. We have an actual bug bounty and feature bounty form on the homepage, where if you submit ideas, like, we're going to pay you for them. If you submit issues, we're going to pay you for them. We are literally the most open, want to be criticized company you'll ever find. I want to know what you want to see. Let's talk about it. There's people that have been submitting in alpha where I'm like, hey, can we get on the phone for 20 minutes? I need you to tell me what you were thinking. Why? Where were you? How does this fit in? I actually want to hear from you. Okay, most people say that. They do not. I want to hear from you so much, I'm going to pay you to tell me what's wrong with my app, because much like crypto, yeah, we're building in prod, right? We're testing in prod, to quote Andre, right? Like, we are doing this because we know we have a good enough app for what golfers expect, but it can get better. Be a part of the process. That's part of the fun with Web3. It's not Jared's app. It's all of our app, and we're the ones who can put it into action. So please come say hi, connect with us, download the app, tell me what you like, tell me what you don't like, and you'll never find a more open group of people that want to hear what you have to say.
Thanks everyone for tuning in. To stay up to date with future episodes, plus get expert tips, strategies, and exclusive content, subscribe to our free newsletter at the-edge.xyz.